In this video, we're going to be taking a look at adding an outline of stones to an object. And for this example, I'm just going to use the number 1. So let's go ahead and draw out our number 1. And we're going to be using our collegiate black FLF font. So we're going to make the number 4 inches tall. And then we're going to add some stones to it. So what we're going to do here is on the stone fill tab here in Easy Stone, our current stone size is SS10, and our current stone spacing is a 0.5 millimeter between stones. And so you can see the offset number here next to Island Fill is preset to 3.9. If I were to change the stone size to SS16, it's automatically calculated for us, or SS6 automatically calculated the proper offset. And when I say the proper offset, what does that really mean? Well, the proper offset is from stone to stone. So let me explain a basic concept here. I'm going to draw out a circle first of all. And let's just say I wanted to do SS16s next to SS6s. So what I would do is select my circle, and because we're doing a different stone size to different stone size, I open up my advanced offset options here, and we choose the 16 to 6. And just like with Island Fill, if we click on Island Fill, left clicking on our mouse will offset to the inside, right clicking on Island Fill will offset to the outside. So it works the same way here for the advanced Island Fill options. So I'm going to go ahead and again, we're going to do 16 to 6, and we're going to right click, and that will add another line around the outside of our existing line. And so if I did SS16 stones and then chose SS6 stones, well, let's make sure we get the right. There we go. So now you can see the offset between the two is set perfectly for us. So that's how you would go about using the Island Fill or the advanced Island Fill, and the calculation of the offsets is already done for us. So how do we apply that to a 1? Well, let me show you a couple of things here. So first of all, in this example, we're going from vinyl to stone. And when you're doing that, you have a couple of different options here. So let me show you what we're going to do. So when you're going from vinyl to stone, if we just come over here, let's set our stone size to SS10s. So I'm just right clicking on that square. One Island Fill, right click to the outside, you're going to get a path that has been added for you. Now, if we add stones to that path, you could see the amount of distance between the edge of our vinyl and the first row of stones. And we may like that for that particular effect, or we may not like that. And so what we've done, we added an extra option. So what we can do here is, again, the amount of offsets already pre-calculated for us. Now, we can, of course, modify that to whatever we want. But if we hold down the Alt key and right-click on Island Fill, then you can see that the outline isn't quite as much. And in fact, if we add stones to that now, you can see that it's basically a perfect amount of offset when we're going from vinyl to stone. Now, it's a tight fit. And because vinyl tends to shrink a little bit, that's why we have it as tight as we do. Okay, so adding the Alt modifier to Island Fill will give us half this distance. That's basically what it does. It gives us half that distance. All right, so let's go ahead and delete that. And then what I typically will do when I go from vinyl to stone is I'll bump this up. I'll click on this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now when I do my offset, 1 to the outside, I'm going to go ahead and add stones. And then you can see that amount of distance. Oh, exactly. In fact, I didn't choose Alt. Sorry about that. So Alt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 offset, Alt right click. There we go. So then we go ahead and add stones, and then you can see the result that we get. So now the next thing to talk about is what happens if we want 2 rows of stones. Well, in that scenario, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and offset using our Alt key. We're going to offset once for the distance between vinyl and stone, and then we're going to offset just regular when we're going from stone to stone. So now we have 2 offsets, but you can see the first one isn't as far as the second one. And now if we just come in here and add stones, we'll see this a little bit more clearly. So you can see the distance between our stone and our vinyl, but then from stone to stone is proper. All right, so there's one more thing to talk about, and that is the corners. You can see how these corners are not exactly accurate, correct? So what we would have to do to get them just perfect is let's go ahead and we undid the stones, and we're going to add one more option, which is Alt-AS for Alt Add Stones. And what that's going to do is that's going to chop our corners off for us. So you can see now we have perfectly straight corners. Now we still have one additional issue that is quite glaring, and that is at the bottom. And you can see here there's an issue here with the stones. Well, why is that? Well, basically the reason you're getting that is because the amount of space that we have available, Easy Stone's saying we don't have room to add another stone and maintain that 0.5 millimeter spacing. We may have room for the stone, but not with the spacing. And we have that issue on both sides. So the way I would handle this particular situation is, well, let's go ahead and delete our stones. Excuse me, not our stones. We're going to delete our stone paths. And this right here, we're going to go ahead and do it over here too. And we're going to do it over here too. So just to kind of perfect this a little bit, you can see that with this particular font, the amount of kick on this font right here is different than the amount of offset here, right? This is bigger than this. And that's why you get the look of these stones on this side, and then you get the look of these stones on this side. This side is pretty close over here, where over here it's not. So what I would do, just to make this so it's quote-unquote correct, is either move a stone in or out one way or the other. So what I would do here, let's go ahead and let's delete this and just show you. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So what I would do is take this stone and we're just going to go ahead and offset it like so. And then what we have to do is move these stones in enough. So let's go ahead and just do that. Let's go ahead and move these stones in so they line up here. So we're going to do a vertical like so. And we're just going to move those over a little bit. So now for this, we're just going to go ahead and convert that to curves. And then we'll select those two nodes and bring those over like they need to be brought over, just like so. Maybe that's a little bit too far, but we can eyeball that portion of it. But now the stones will look proper when we offset these. The stones look proper. So now we want to do basically the same process over here. So we're going to go ahead and offset these stones. We're going to, this one we're going to have to bring out. So let's go ahead and do that. Oops, I was going to bring these stones right to the center. So from the center of that, match it up to the guideline. And then we have this. So again, we'll just double click on the font there, the number, and we'll just pull this over a little bit. And now you can see the amount of offset is basically identical on both sides. So now if we offset these stones, we've got that all correct. And then all we have to do is come down here and do a horizontal spacing. In fact, we can get rid of probably a stone or two. There we go. And we'll probably have to do the same thing here. So we'll go ahead and do a horizontal spacing. You can see these stones are really tight. We'll get rid of two of them. Go back to our horizontal spacing. And now you can see we have it all basically looking proper. So let's go ahead and move that over here. Let's go ahead and do our check spacing. Get rid of all of our duplicate stones sitting on top of one another. We'll throw a weed box behind here. And then we'll call this a success. So now you can see we have a nice, perfectly offset one there. And you could really take it to the next level. And you see here what we did down here to make this all perfect. Really, we have a similar issue here, where the amount of offset here, these stones are, you can see here, these stones are spaced slightly farther apart than they are vertically because of how much this number one sticks out. So if we really wanted to get particular, we could fix that up, and I probably would. obviously stones at an angle and what have you, we wouldn't be able to fix it all the way around. But at first glance, that doesn't look as glaring as it did down here as far as fixing it goes. So anyhow, that's how all this works. And like I said, of course, all these offset calculations are already done for you if you understand how to use them all. And then, of course, you can override those offsets. And then, of course, this is the big one right here. Don't forget these advanced offset options when you're going from one stone size to the other. And sometimes too, if we just show this example again, we can say, hey, I want to go from, once you understand what effects these have, you could say, well, I want to go from 16 to 30, right click, and we'll go ahead and we'll do our 16 on here. But then here, we won't actually use 30. So here, maybe I want to use 6s because I want that gap that creates. So now you can see it created a gap, and that may be just what you're looking to do design-wise. So there's a lot of different options there. You don't necessarily have to apply the SS30 stone for that particular effect if you didn't want to. So hopefully that better explains how to use that island fill for you. Thanks for watching.